Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. We're getting towards the end of the day, and the sun has actually just drifted away a little bit in terms of intensity anyway. But that doesn't mean the racing hasn't stopped or isn't going to get less intense, because now we turn our attention to Formula Regional, the FR Championship as it's known, which worldwide is a standard for up-and-coming single-seater drivers, including this man from Canada, from Quebec, his name, Patrick Woods-Toth. I've been watching him. He is our current F4 champion, and he is also now pretty darn handy in an FR car, which he took to very quickly this winter when he went to New Zealand, and it was such a successful run with Crosslink Kiwi that he's now earned himself a spot in the Crosslink Kiwi FR team, which of course is run by Tina Larson and Gary Orton. And his opponent is the man who was runner-up in this championship last year, and that is the 66, also of Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport, Ryan Sheehan of Austin, Texas. He actually says officially Horseshoe Bay, but we call it Austin. It's just down the road a bit. Just down the road a piece, as we say in Texas. I'm delighted to take us through this with a driver that knows these guys well, because he's in their team. His name, Bacon Zanka. You just saw him out in that bright green car, number 45, I think, just a few minutes ago. He was having a heck of a race. Let's start there, Bacon. What happened for you out there? Because you were in quite a few battles out there, and it looked as though, well, I don't know. You tell me, were you having fun?
Of course, it's always fun to be out on a racetrack. As long as you're out there, you're having fun, right? If it's going good, bad, or even a little bit indifferent sometimes, you're just happy to be there. It's even better when you can be on the podium and celebrate with your team and your parents and the people that help you.
Now, you've joined this huge and epic team that is Crosslink Kiwi. It just seems to get bigger and bigger, but the championships keep adding up as well. They're the most successful team in the paddock. They've got Formula One stars like Roberto Moreno on board. They've got people like Stephen Giles, an ex-chief engineer for Mika Hakkinen. You know, these guys aren't messing about. So you and your dad, I know you started out small, but you now joined this team, and while you're still that unit, great to be part of this setup, isn't it?
Of course, you get to learn from the 30, 40-plus years of each member on the team. And, of course, adding up, you have many, many generations of information that you couldn't just learn on your own. You have to be around these people to get it. And the more people I'm surrounded by like this, the quicker I will learn, the better I will eventually be.
How old are you now?
I turned 18 recently.
So I'm sure a lot of youngsters, teenagers out there would want to know, well, how, you know, it's always a great story. How did you get into racing? There's a lot of teams and a lot of drivers that have come through their father or their family racing. What's your background?
Well, I'm actually first generation. There's no racing background at all in my family. But I think we were watching some racing on television one time. I believe it was IndyCar or Formula One. This was quite a while ago. I was 10 or 11, but it took me 2.5 to 3 years to earn the money to buy my first go-kart, and we've been racing ever since.
That's great. And to be honest, you are the real deal. You're the guy that said, you know, I'm determined to do this. I don't have a cache of money under the mattress. I've got to have to earn it. So you've done jobs to this. You're still at university at Purdue, right?
Yes, absolutely correct.
And studying aeronautics?
Yeah, so the program is called aeronautics. So it's an aerospace engineering degree as well as a commercial flight license.
So you're a smart cookie as well then.
No.
So, well, and I'll tell you what, a smart cookie for a racing driver who could therefore have a connected sport, a connected business, should I say, but also learning about aeronautics and also about motor racing, one and the same in many ways.
Well, they're very similar. The fundamentals of the way an airplane works or the way you talk about how an airplane is designed is very similar to how a race car acts, right? If you're talking about, well, I go on the brakes and we have too much dive on the brakes, well, you're talking about the pitch. It's almost like talking about the trim on an elevator of an aircraft.
Very true. And also trying to improve on that. Just deft touches here and there are exactly the same with both disciplines, yeah?
Of course. The fine details are the same. Everything just it goes to the same degree of precision and the need to be right.
Now, I don't know if you can answer this question, but I know Ryan Sheehan on the left-hand side there, and I know Woods-Toth well. They're both quiet guys, but characters in their own right. Is there a niggle there between these two? Because they're 6.5 points the gap between them coming into this race.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting you bring that up because they're actually parked right next to each other in the pits, and I've never seen anyone have any ill issues with anyone. It seems to be a very good environment all around.
Well, it is tight in the championship. We're at the halfway point. We were at Indy last week, and at the moment it's 138 points to Ryan Sheehan on the left of your screen from Austin, Texas. Meanwhile, Patrick Woods-Toth is just 6.5 points behind. So these two have been taking most of the glory so far. We're about to go racing.
Start by James Lawley.
Yep, and away. Ooh, what happened there? That was a bit of a jump. And away we go. FR in action then, here at Mid-Ohio.
Justin Garrett's who's on the outside of Rico.
Yeah, who did you notice Lawless pop out before?
It was the 77 of James Lawley, I believe.
Well, he jumped, you think?
Yes.
Aha, okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that one to see if that does come up from the stewards, but good eagle eye, well done.
And they might call a, well, I guess I haven't done it yet, but I thought they were going to call a aborted start with the waving yellows.
Yeah, good point. But we're away. This is the first of 3 races here, and like I said, we've been to NOLA, which is in Louisiana back in April. Road America.
Oh, move for third.
And that was a move for third. Nicely done. I'm keeping an eye.
Woods-Toth.
Patrick Woods-Toth getting up there. But a good start from Sheehan. Patrick Woods-Toth, Sheehan, Ambiato. Had a chat with Nicholas Ambiato. Interesting character.
We're going to have a very interesting battle here that I'm very keen to see here, with Patrick Woods-Toth being 2 and a bit tenths quicker than Ryan Sheehan in qualifying. We'll see if he can not only run down Sheehan for the lead, but also make the move in the dirty air.
Yeah, good point. So why was it? Yeah, so, okay, yeah, because he didn't get the pole. So Ryan's got the jump on him now, but now can Woods-Toth reel him in? That's the question. Ambiato in 3rd position at the moment in the 55. Then Jet Bowling, who came to our commentary booth earlier this weekend in the 02, and then the 22 just going through shot there, Hayden Bowlesby. Bowlesby on double duty this weekend. Through goes the 77, James Lawley, but you still think he might have jumped a little bit?
A little bit. We'll see if they have any calls about that.
We'll see, yeah. And through going is Rico Schlamoon. Did I pronounce that right? Shalamoon.
Yeah.
Shalamoon will do. I'm getting there. 30 minutes. It doesn't sound much, Bacon, but I tell you what, it gets you after a while in these physical cars, doesn't it?
It's not necessarily the physical aspect. You get conditioned pretty quickly to a race car. Your body, obviously, we're all young. We adapt very quickly. Oh, James Lawley goes wide. Whoop. Justin Garrett goes around the outside. We'll have the inside for next corner. Gets the move done. But as I was saying, we're all young, so we adapted very quickly. And so the physical aspect's not really a big deal, but the mental aspect is actually, in my opinion, even more challenging.
It's mentally tiring, yeah? Yeah.
But you're racing, you're managing the gaps, if the guy's behind you pressuring, and maybe you have to let him by so you can put the pressure on him and just change the dynamic of the battle.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've done a lot of bike schools and car schools, and I'm always amazed that they would say, okay, we're going to go out and do a 15-minute session, and you're thinking, that's not very long. And you get out there, you get under speed, and you get up to speed, and you do about 3 laps, and then they bring you in, and you felt it. Because especially when you're learning, because it's all coming at you. And the learning curve is so quick, and by about 15 minutes, you're done. You're done at being good, put it that way.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you can't be good when you're tired. You got to be on it.
And that's why a lot of these guys who are racing drivers don't really get the credit for being the athletes they are. The Olympics coming up in Paris very soon, but don't think for 1 minute that these guys aren't in the gym just as much as any Olympic athlete, because you're not only dealing with your own physical situation, you've got a piece of metal trying to throw you every which way but forward, and so you're fighting this machine, this rocket that you're strapped to. And, yeah, it's no mean feat. No air conditioning, no comfortability, no cushions to sit on. You're sitting on a hard piece of carbon fiber, probably.
Yep. Or you get a very thin foam seat that doesn't do much for you.
Nah. Can you imagine saying to your engineer, I'd just like to add a cushion if I can. It's only about £1.
You'd flip out. You're gonna raise the center of gravity. You can't do that.
Can't do that.
What's really interesting that I learned when I moved to cars that I didn't expect is that the air outside the car is usually hotter than the air inside the car. Even though you have the engine bolted right to the back of the chassis, warming up the whole carbon fiber around you, it's always colder inside the car.
Well, your wish is about to be granted, because the Orlando-sponsored Canadian, that is Patrick Woods-Toth, is gaining on Ryan Sheehan. This is the battle we've wanted. They've had some on-track tussles, but not really head-to-head. It's either been one or the other that's dominated. and they've taken a lion's share of the wins. Ryan Sheehan leading the championship early on and then regaining it at Indy with a win in the second race there. But the whole time, Woodstock has been with him, and there's nobody really. Titus Sherlock, who sadly had a crash yesterday and crashed heavily at the keyhole and is not taking part today. And we hope he's back for the next round. But third place in the championship, another Texan, funnily enough, with Ryan Sheehan leading the way. But he's from Prosper, Texas. This man, Ryan Sheehan, from Austin, Texas.
Yeah, elaborating on Titus Sherlock there, I was actually, I'm pretty good friends with Titus and all these guys here. And he was just telling me that, he doesn't feel under completely 100%. He just wants to make sure he's going to be safe and can continue the championship for the rest of the year. So he's just taking a little break. But he's perfectly good.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you tactically, if you are Woods Toth and you're catching and you can see it, we can all see it, and so too can Ryan. How does Ryan defend, and how does Woods Toth take his moment and make it decisive? Because it's one thing to overtake in racing, but if you leave the door open after doing it, getting it done, you also leave the opportunity for him to come back straight away.
Well, speed isn't just I take this one corner faster. The speed around the lap is I can carry the momentum. And there is momentum build up. You've got to be moving forward. As soon as you stop moving forward, you might get stuck in an area where I can no longer keep that speed to him. Like now, we're stuck at 6/10 gap. If I was in passenger position, I could say that I need to push harder to maybe make Sheehan go just that little bit quicker, be just that little bit more worried about me. Maybe he looks in his mirror a little bit and he makes a lock up or a slide. And he has the advantage here, obviously, with the clean air. So you got to get him to sort of move him out of his comfort zone. Now that if you're pressuring, you're the one that's setting everything. If you're quicker behind, you decide how fast he needs to go to stay in front of you.
Good point. Yeah, you're forcing the pace in that respect. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and Ryan doesn't want to be out of that comfort zone. I'll say one thing. I watched Ryan at close quarters last year, and he's not afraid to race at close quarters for many a lap. Him and Callum Hedge, who's now moved on to Indy Next, racing this weekend, funnily enough. But they went head-to-head for quite some time, and it was a lion's share to Callum Hedge. But Sheehan kept him honest throughout that race weekend, and there's one thing that you can tell about Ryan Sheehan is he's metronomical in his approach to racing. He's not flamboyant, he's not full of flair, but boy, he is on it, and he knows the rudiments of racing, which is to be consistent, to be fast, but not be leery, not make, don't be consistent among all other things. And it's really hard to beat a guy, regardless of who you are and what kind of pace the car's got, if you've got that guy in front of you who's doing that.
Absolutely. Sheehan's a textbook example of just, I need to finish every race on the podium,
yeah,
and I'll be there in the end.
Yeah, it's like the Prost-Senna battle of years ago. You wouldn't remember it, obviously, but I'm sure you've heard about the infamy of those two drivers. And Prost used to say that, he would race a race as slow as he possibly could because he was very wary that mechanical, cars break down. So if you can win a race at the slowest possible speed, there's a good chance you'll get to the end. Whereas Senna was all hell-bent for leather to be the fastest at every corner, every lap, and every straight. And both men had huge success. Won 4 times, a world champion 1 time, and won a 3-time world champion, and head-to-head many a time.
Absolutely. It's beautiful you bring up the Senna Prost. Now, I don't want to say rivalry. I want to say partnership or companionship between the two, because they're beautifully like a yin and yang. They're completely opposite, but both just as good and both just as to the point as each other. They both get it done when they need to, but they both do it in very different ways. Yeah,
it's very true. I've watched Damon Hill against Jacques Villeneuve many times too, and similar kind of approach. Jacques Villeneuve was very much the flair and very much the, son of the great Gilles Villeneuve and had everything in his armor, whereas Damon Hill was not, by his own admission, the most skillful of drivers, but he was metronomic in his approach. As we see a good battle here, 22 versus 6.
Well, he's hanging around the outside.
This is Havrada, Nicole Havrada from Canada against Hayden Bowlesby. And she's doing a good job right now of holding him off. I was looking closely at that, the back of that car, and it's got Canadian maple leaves on the back of it, and also a very interesting signature that says the car doesn't know the difference, and she's basically regarding that to women in motorsport, because the car doesn't know who puts the input in, so it makes no difference whether you're a woman or a man in racing. And of course, on the ascendance now, women's racing, and so glad to see Nicole doing what she's doing. I know her parents, she's an ex-ski racer from Canada, and she's not at all intimidated, and like she says, the car doesn't know the difference, and she's the difference, and she just bounces off the curves there. She's having a good season too.
Oh, absolutely.
I sort of
I think
said
she's up to what, 2 or 3 podiums now?
yeah, and in contention. I said, what clicked? And she said, you know, it was just a confidence thing. It's the old story, you know, all boats rise. You know, the Formula Academy, what Jamie Chadwick is achieving in Indy Next with a win recently. It's building a force to be reckoned with, and a confidence. It's a trust, I think, more than anything else. We were laughing about ski racing and about how Lindsey Vonn, nobody questions the brilliance of Lindsey Vonn as a woman in ski racing, because she is equal to any man out there. But of course, there's women's and men's skiing. So, you know, there is a differentiation physically, but, you know, I think it's that trust, if you will, that respect, I think that now is being gained in women's motorsport that hasn't been there before. And Nicole Havrada is definitely a proponent of that, and an example of what we're about to see in the future more often. A bit of a lock-up there by Bowlesby.
Well, still a good run down the front straight, though. It got put back together well.
Yep. Matriano Lim currently in 10th, the man from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Woodstock still closing in, but in the last 6 minutes, it's only been able to gain 2.5 tenths on Sheehan.
Yeah, Sheehan doing a good job of managing the gap, and that's the point, isn't it? And when you've got that lead, you mentioned it well when you said that Woods Toth was in that position where if he's faster, he wants to make the pace faster for Ryan. But if Ryan, in some ways, controlling it, just losing 2 tenths in the last couple of laps and maintaining his position.
We haven't been focusing on that battle because we're obviously having a much better battle for the 5th position. But I'd really like to see if Sheehan is changing his line a bit to possibly give Patrick some worse dirty air, maybe make it a bit challenging for him.
This is a pivotal moment in the race championship for the championship. Ryan Sheehan, and this is his 2nd year in FR. He had hoped to go to the FR series in New Zealand, but it didn't come off for him sponsorship-wise. But boy, does he work it. That's number 66. Now we see it. The battle for 1st and 2nd. And I'll tell you what, Bacon, you came at the right race. This is getting tasty. Very tasty.
Oh,
as
yeah.
Ryan Sheehan crosses the line again.
Another thing to note, Ambiata was also closing in on Woodstock, so we could have a 3-way battle for the win here in the coming moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Ambiato looking for a result as well, and he's very much jumped up a little bit in the last few races, and definitely one to watch. And yeah, it could be a 3-way battle for the overall win here. And Tyler Sherlock, who usually would be in this battle, not taking part after a crash in practice yesterday. Patrick Woods-Toth now honing in on the red wing of the number 66 of Ryan Sheehan. Yeah, I've been so impressed because I live in Austin myself, so I've watched Ryan's progress, his dad, Doug, and his mum just working tirelessly to gain the money. They've got backing from real estate companies. They've got backing from the Austin Business Journal, Business Bureau, excuse me. And they hold events, they do sponsorships for onboards, and yeah, he works very hard, get his press releases. It's always interesting to see what he's been up to. But Ryan Sheehan Racing is just that. There isn't a bunch of, you know, heady sponsors, a bit like yourself. It's all his work. It's his company, and while his dad helps as best he can, he's the first to tell you that it's Ryan's work, Ryan's business. He is doing the legwork.
Yeah, Sheehan's a very, very good example of, you know, people like myself and anyone else that can go into motorsports and actually get it done.
Yeah,
you can do it at a high level.
Well, and he's been described as being sort of 10 years ahead of a lot of his, you know, competitors here by doing what he's doing. He reminds me of Justin Wilson, who created a PLC to get himself to Formula One and then to Indy. And sadly, we lost him. But Justin, a great proponent for getting people to invest in him as a person. And get their, you know, get a return on that investment by him being successful, and he did it, and paid the people back, I may add. And so it can be done. They're just, it's almost like being creative. You've just got to find a more creative way of finding the money, because it is expensive going racing. I don't need to tell you that.
Absolutely, it's always expensive, but. You know, if you can just get the money to get here, sometimes you don't need to have all the best stuff. Like last year, I ran with just 2 sets of tires and everybody else ran 3. You just got to be there sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we've got a cracking race. Bowling still in 4th position. Jet Bowling coming off a great weekend at Indianapolis where he took a 4th, a 2nd, and a 3rd. And so another Texan from Dallas, Texas this time. So we've got a fair few Texans out there. Sadly, Titus from Prosper not there this weekend, but he'll be back. And you're listening to Bacon Zanka for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport in the number 45. Where can we find you on social if we want to follow you and maybe inspire some youngsters to try and do what you're doing?
My socials are pretty simple. It's just my name, Bacon Zanka 45.
But you've got a good name to remember. You can't forget Bacon Zanka.
Oh, it's hard to forget.
I've had Caleb Bacon this weekend and you.
Oh.
So it's been fun.
We need to go endurance racing together.
There you go. The Bacon Buddies. So this battle continues, and Havrada doing a really good job so far. She's held off Bowlesby for the last 4 or 5 laps, and she's not giving in easily, is she?
No, she is not. We're just over halfway here in the feature race for FR Americas. I do believe the 22 has a little bit more pace, but just struggling in the dirty air to get by. Just can't get the right line.
Yeah, I was asking her over the weekend what she's learning, and you know, there wasn't one particular thing. It's just putting it all together. And you know, she said it's amazing. You know, I've got oversteer today, and then all my teammates have got understeer. So he said, you know, it's hard to work out where you're going wrong when others have got a completely different problem to solve than you have. If you all have the same problem, it would be easy to work out. Now, here's your battle for the top 3, and as you said, Ambiato now joins it in the 55. So we're in for a cracking battle.
Well, something to notice that Ambiato is actually in a very opportune position to wait for Woodstoff and Sheehan to start battling, get past one of them, and still carry the momentum to start racing for the lead.
Now, Ambiato is a good story. He is from Davenport, Florida, but originally hails from Chile. And I'd forgotten, but of course, Alessio Salazar was the last Chilean to ever make it all the way to Formula One. So when I asked Jason you know, who his hero was, he immediately said, wow, that's the man, absolutely. So
Bowlesby trying around the outside again, a bit further alongside. He's going to have the inside.
Now, can she hold off? She's got the nose still ahead. This is great racing, but Bowlesby's finally done it.
Oh, Justin Garrett gets around the 6 of Roberta as well.
Watching on at Crosslink in the pits. Tense times, a lot of cars out there. Nicholas Ambiato, not Jason. What am I talking about? I apologize. First one of the year, but we'll take it. Great to be back doing some coverage of the single-seaters. Love watching the progress of the youngsters.
Look at the gap Bowlesby already has on the 17 of Garrett.
Yeah. Garrett's having a good year too. Havrada now losing out to 7th place now. 12 minutes to go. There's time to come back, but as you say, once he's pulled the pin, he's off.
Yep. It's a bit like a little bit like a bomb. When you're going, and you gotta get on that moment. Sometimes you don't get the second chance to pull the pin.
Yeah, exactly. So still less than a second between Sheehan and Woods-Toth, and Ambiato right there as well. And we've got a 3-way battle at the front. We're watching this battle between Bowlesby, Garrett, and Havrada. Lawley in 8th position, but I haven't heard anything saying that he jumped the start, so he may have got away with it. Matriano Lim rounding out the top 10 at the moment.
You know, I wonder if he didn't jump the start. I wonder if because there was the yellow flags on the wall, everybody thought it was going to be an aborted start, and he was the only one that went on time.
Yeah, and maybe the car in front of him got a slow start, and that's why he jinked out as quickly as he did.
Right.
Yeah, good point. Now, where can Ambiato make an impact on this race? They're just spread out enough where no one can really challenge into each and every corner. It's going to take a bit more time, isn't it? I mean, knowing that, where do you build up? They could be coming up on a back marker. Would you be thinking, if you were in 3rd place now, that this could be the opportunity to use that back marker?
If you're in 3rd, it's not really there's not a whole lot you can do to bring yourself up, especially if you're trying to chase him down. Oh, why is he slow?
He's got a problem, Zambiati's slowing right down. Yeah, well, no, he looked like he missed a couple of gears because he's then back in gear, but he lost a lot of time now. He slowed down.
I wonder if he's having a shifting issue with
that
car.
I think that's what it sounds like. He just looked as though he suddenly vaunted forward like he'd found a gear. Oh, worst possible time, too, when he was going great in third place. Now he's got to worry about Bowling, who would happily take another podium.
He's got a big gap, so even if he does have a shifting issue to that car, maybe he'll be able to nurse it and still stay ahead of Jet Bowling.
Yeah, Ambiado's last lap of 1:19.6. Bowling was slightly quicker, but a decent gap between those two. And I'm keeping an eye on the leaders too. 1:19.3 is the fastest lap by Woods Toth, but so too Ryan Sheehan. So they're on identical pace, these two, from the same stable that is Crosslink Kiwi. Great atmosphere with Gary Orton and Tina. Looks like a fun team to be in. It doesn't look as though they're, everybody works hard, but once the day's over, it's a pretty good atmosphere there.
Absolutely, they're just great people to be around. They have a great environment around it. They make everything right. There's good people all around.
Yeah, it's good to say. And of course, the team based in Dallas, Texas. Hence, the reason we've got so many good Texans part of this setup. And they've been here, of course, based from New Zealand, Kiwi Motorsport. Hence the reason. And they race there in the FR Championship once a year as well. So they do the summer season here and then do the summer season effectively in New Zealand. Originally the Victory team. And had some great success. Now, what's happened to Ambiado? He has come in, so whatever the problem was, and it looked like a gear selection problem or something like that.
Well, they're on the right side of the car, looking right around where the shifting block and the compressor is.
Makes sense. Either way, with 8 minutes to go, it doesn't look good for a decent result out of this one, and just what he didn't need. There you go. That's racing, folks. Patience is everything. Now, here's Jet Bowling. And with Ambiado out, he now moves into third spot. So this could be another useful podium position for the young Dallas racing driver. Interesting story. He came to racing very late. You know, it was a year to the day here at Mid-Ohio that Jet Bowling stepped into a racing car, into an F4 car. So, compared to a lot of drivers like yourself, he is very new, very wet behind the ears when it comes to racing, but was the most improved driver in the FR Series, which was a big leap for him, having done not even a full season in F4, and he leapt into the international New Zealand season, come here to do a full season in FR, and is equipping himself well. Fourth in the championship, third on the road today. This is a good confidence builder after what was his best weekend last time out at IndyCar. At Indy
IMS.
Speedway, IMS, yeah.
Yeah, Jet's a good guy. He really takes it seriously, but he wants to have fun and wants to keep everybody happy. You got to have a good time over here. He's a good example. Oh, Kevin Jansen in the pits.
That's not good. Kevin Jansen, the senior member, as it were, the Canadian. Been racing in this series for a while.
Jansen had been running in 11th place before this issue.
Yeah, so he's got some sort of issue. Yeah, I talked to Jet. He is a great guy, and I sort of said, do you feel the pressure of having to work with a team where, you're the most important factor, but you can't do it without the rest of the team? And, he sort of said, well, I kind of know what it's like to play the diva. And what he meant was, he said, I was the pitcher on the baseball team, which, let's face it, is one of the most important positions out there. So you could actually parallel that nicely with racing driving because, again, no team wins without a racing driver in that cockpit, a human to do the business. But it takes a village, as they say, to get in there. And it's a big discipline to learn as you go through. I'm sure you've had to go through that too, where you have to trust people that they're on your side and that they know more than you do about what perhaps you're facing, and you've just got to go, really? That's what I got to do? Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, you got to try it. You gotta learn from everything. Even if they're wrong, you learn. And as long as you learn, you win.
There you go. I like your ethos. It's good stuff. We're looking at the 73 of Matriano Lim. First glance of him in the 739. I think it's 73 these days, but it's 739 Racing. He, too, had a run down in New Zealand. But, again, just a learning curve. And that's Gary Orton's doing. The team manager here, encouraging these youngsters to go far afield and race more. Get more seat time. That's what every race manager I've ever listened to has said. Seat time, seat time, seat time. You can't beat it.
Absolutely.
And it does show.
and there's no substitute for it. James Lawley is worried about a possible overtake being made, though.
Yeah, Lawley not holding back on the defensive run and trying to make sure Matriano Lim doesn't get by.
Wonder if he's going to try to take the outside this time.
Into the keyhole then. Time running out. 5 minutes to go. Just a couple of laps left. Everybody looking for points. This is the battle for 7th position.
Lawley's got to make sure he doesn't get too ahead of himself and defend too hard and make sure and not letting him get alongside. Because the real thing is here, if you do let your opponent get alongside you, you're stuck battling him and not trying to drive away from him.
You're not missing anything at the front. The battle for the lead is still Sheehan and Woods-Toft. The gap is still less than a second, 0.9 now. So it's dropped off a little bit. Sheehan has recovered a bit from Woods-Toft's pressure. But there's pressure everywhere, as you can see. This is just the battle for 7th, and it's just as intense. And Matriano Lim, Shlamoon just behind in the 25 in 9th position.
Closer this time around, though. 4/10 gap instead of the 6/10 gap. Wonder if we'll be able to make a move down to the keyhole.
Well, that's the question mark. Into the carousel. Certainly got rid of the bumps that were there in the carousel. There was one right in the middle of that corner, but now with the new surface, it's been cleaned up. And again, Lawley switching positions, trying to shake the attentions of Matriano Lim. Got his mum and sister here this weekend supporting him. He's got 2 sisters of Matriano Lim, and he's a great story too. Started off as a gymnast, could have potentially gone to college gymnastics, was very serious about it at high school, and then completely flipped the world on its head and said, I'm going motor racing. But weirdly, we were talking about, I talked to him about the physiques for gymnastics, and actually for strength, upper body strength, that you need, one of his favorite disciplines in gymnastics is the beams, is the what do you call them, the rings. That's it. And you need your arms and your shoulders for that, which is exactly what you need for motor racing. And so that was where he excelled in gymnastics, and it's helping him in terms of fitness get his head round forcing these heavy cars and not a lot of give, especially in these hot conditions. So Matriano Lim using his old skills to help his new skills.
We dropped off a little bit from James Lawley here.
But now the 25 wants a piece of him. Not done yet, are they? Clock ticking down, 2 minutes to go. Matriano Lim under pressure. The gap has gone up. Sheehan now is taking control of this race, and it's now exactly a second between Sheehan and Woods-Toft, which means he's not out of the woods, so to speak. Ha-ha, Woods-Toft. But he is, Sheehan, at least enough of a gap where he can not settle and relax, but he's certainly got enough whereby if he maintains the gap, he should win this race, and that is going to prove to be vital as we go into the second half of this season. New Jersey to come, and also the big finale at COTA at the end of the year. VIR still to come.
Something really interesting I just know is that Bowling is actually catching on the leaders. He's gained almost a second and a half in the last 5 to 6 minutes.
It's really impressive. Well, he's unfettered, I guess. He knows, that there's no one behind him. He's got nobody in front of him except these two, and he was a way off them. But as you say, now the gap just down to 10 seconds, and he has been putting in some really good laps. His last lap, a 1:19.5, and that's equal to his best. So, yeah, you're right. Just at the right time, he is coming fast, and now he's taken the gap down to 9 seconds. But Sheehan, to me anyway, looks in control of this, and having watched Ryan Sheehan race for the last few years, he doesn't give away silly mistakes very often. I'll probably put the muckers on him for saying that, but no, Ryan is very calm and collected. Saw him yesterday with his dad, and his dad was just as excited as he always is to be at a motor race and be with his son. And Ryan, very cool and calm, which is what you need. You don't think you need that as a motor racing driver, but you absolutely do. And it's paid well, because here comes Sheehan now to get ready to take that checkered flag. He comes into the carousel for the last time. The white flag is out for the back markers, but for the leaders, it is the white flag, and it waves now for the last lap. 33 seconds to go. Now, if Woods-Toft is going to do it, he's got it down to 0.8. Can he do this now, Bacon?
Well, you know what? saying these in point is very interesting because he was on the 1.1. Maybe he's just going to try and make a late run. I don't think he'll try super hard. I do think that Patrick is going to try to force Sheehan into a mistake, but Patrick and Sheehan are both very calculated guys. It's going to be hard to make Sheehan into a mistake. It's going to be really, I would say, it would be unprecedented for Patrick to make a move like that. It's just not him. He's not high risk.
Yeah, it's a very interesting inter-team battle. To be fair, it was inter-team last year too, but Callum Hedge was running around the world last year, and while he was part of the Crosslink Kiwi racing team, he was racing in Australia, and then popping out on the... He had more air miles than anybody I know last year. There's Gary Orton. But he had more air miles than anybody I know, so it was a very different battle than we've seen between these two. Because we didn't see Callum here the whole season. He would flip in and flip out for the races and was learning his way, but he's such a natural talent that he got to grips with it very quickly. Well, closest he's ever come to the back of Ryan Sheehan, but it's not going to be enough because he's run out of corners, and Ryan Sheehan takes a victory, and an important one too, over his arch rival Patrick Woodstoff. It's Texan on top here at Mid-Ohio as Ryan Sheehan in the 66 comes across the line, and Bowling in the 02 takes another third position. It's another podium for the man who's got just a year of racing under his belt, and that's a good result for Jet Bowling. And Ambiato helping out by going out. There's Stephen Childs, the man I was talking about before, but handshakes across. Gary Orton in the background there, but another good day at the office for Crosslink Kiwi. And Bowling, of course, part of that team, so it's a 1-2-3 for the team. And that is about as good as it gets in motor racing terms. Bacon?
Can't get no better, right? It's perfect sweep. You got the pole, the fastest lap, all three podium positions. The other thing I just realized is that it's also a dual Texan podium.
Yes, that's a good point, yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose so. Woodstock, though, from Canada. But, yeah, I get it.
Well, Sheehan and Bowling are both from Texas.
Yes, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. What are you going to change on your car, do you think? Or what are you going to change about how you approach tomorrow?
Well, if it doesn't rain, I prepped the tires wrong. I wasn't aggressive enough early on with them. I prepped them to run for too long. I should have backed up a little bit and tried to run them better in the first 5 laps instead of trying to run them so good the last 5 laps. Then we had a slight shifting issue. Gotta get that solved. Hopefully it's fixed by the time I get back, but it'll also be a late night. But
well, hopefully it's not a late night for you because you've got a long day tomorrow. But let's take a look at some of the highlights of what was a great 1-2-3 for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. And a win, once again, for Ryan Sheehan. Well, Sheehan got into the lead early on, right from the get-go. He got a better start than the pole man Woodstock. And once he got there, well, he didn't look back and started to extend that lead. There were battles all the way through the field, some great ones. Savrada was perhaps the most interesting because she just held off Bowlesby as long as she could. Finally, she had to succumb, Bowlesby going through, and she lost 2 places, actually, in that little fracas. But a good run, too, on all the same. Ambiato was running in third and was right up there with him. But like Janssen, Kevin Janssen, the Canadian, he went out. But it was Ryan Sheehan all the way. The man from Horseshoe Bay has got the lucky horseshoe today. Confirmation of the result then, a Crosslink Kiwi sweep. Ryan Sheehan with the win, Patrick Woodstoff in second, Jet Bowling in third, Hayden Bowlesby fourth, Justin Garrett fifth, Nicole Havrada in sixth, Lawley, Matriano Lim, Shalamoon in ninth, and Kevin Janssen, as you saw in the pits. Just want to thank Bacon Zanka for coming in.
Oh no, thank you guys for having me here. It was a lot of fun.
We'll let you get back to your engineer and back to your hotel room or sleeping bag, wherever you're staying, because I know it's tough on the road.
Well, it's a lot of fun being on the road as well, you know. That's just part of it. I actually live in my trailer.
Ah, there you go. Well, watch out for the bright green 45 in action tomorrow. 2 races as they are in FR. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back in a moment to wrap it all up. In fact, we'll wrap it up right now. What the heck? My thanks once again to Bacon Zanka. I'm Jonathan Green. We are going to wrap it up here from Mid-Ohio. It's been a long but fast and furious day. In the heat of Mid-Ohio, we're expecting conditions to change just a little bit. The temperature will probably be about the same, but there's a possibility of thunderstorms and rain. As if it wasn't hard enough, this motor racing game. We'll be back tomorrow for more from the Speed Tour But from me, Jonathan Green, and Bacon Zanka, we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch! At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Hagerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, offer less than a set of race tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.